Hey there, and welcome to this special edition of Golf Live and our coverage of the 146th British Open Championship. I'm Ryan Aselta here in our New York studios. Round one is just about in the books at Royal Birkdale in England, and it was a day that saw the highs and lows that can be yielded by this historic links course. Your leaders, it's a three-way lead as of right now. Jordan Spieth, Brooks Koepka tied atop the leaderboard at 5 under par, as well as Matt Kuchar, all standing there at 5 under. They have a one-shot lead, an array of other golfers standing right behind them. You see Paul Casey right there. Rafi Cabrera-Bello has made a charge. He's also at 4 under as we speak, but it's a three-way tie, and that is the storyline heading out of round one into round two. Let's welcome in our panel for this afternoon's coverage. Happy to have Golf.com's Jessica Marksberry here with us. And let's welcome in Sports Illustrated senior writer Michael Bamberger, who joins us via Skype from England. And Michael, thanks for being with us. Some impressive golf being played on day one at Royal Birkdale. We talked about the big three up top, Koepka, Kuchar, and Spieth. Who impressed you the most out of those three on day one?
Well, I think Spieth, well, if we're impressed the most, maybe not Spieth, but I think who's in the best position of the three, I would say Spieth, because he's overdue, he's relaxed, he's calm. And this golf course, it's a real thinking man's course, just like St. Andrews, where he played so well a couple years ago. He just looked to be in complete control and comfort zone and no hiccups. And he would be my early pick.
Jess, 5 under par 65 from all three. Let's talk about Spieth, who's coming off that big win, dramatic win at the Travelers. Do you think he's got his mojo back, so to speak? We've been waiting for Jordan to heat up. It kind of has that feeling. He seems to be strutting around Birkdale with a little bit of extra confidence.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. He mentioned that he came into this major championship with a bit of fire. He had a little break, and as we know from what he did in 2015, when he overexerts himself, it's not a good thing. Jordan plays best when he's rested, ready to play, when he's excited to play, and I think he's kind of regained that excitement, I guess you could say. He feels good about everything, certainly showed it out there today, even though he didn't have perfect ball striking off the tee or really even into a lot of the greens. His irons were spectacular. He scrambled around. Certainly seemed like he could have done even better than 5 under par. And so that's the game that we were so used to seeing Jordan play just a couple years ago. It's great to see him back on track now.
Yeah, the 65 is lowest opening round ever at the Open Championship. Michael, speaking of confidence, let's talk about Brooks Koepka, who revealed that today was his third round of golf since Erin Hills. We know he went out to Vegas, he partied, he had a good time, and he looks like he's picking right up where he left off just a month ago.
Yeah, I asked Dustin Johnson yesterday whether they're workout buddies in the greater West Palm Beach area. And Dustin said he spent about 2 weeks goofing off, really not doing any work, but that he's gotten back into it. And I think it's sort of a telling comment because I think for a lot of these brawny golfers, their success on the golf course comes from what they do in the gym. The confidence that they display on the course comes from working out well and having good practice sessions. It's a different style of golf than someone like Jordan Spieth, who probably has to play more golf to get into a golf frame of mind. Phil Mickelson was more like that. But for Brooks Koepka, much like Dustin Johnson, success on the golf course often follows a successful workout regimen, and I think we're seeing now. And Dustin Johnson was saying he worked hard for the 2 weeks leading up to this event. So in that sense, yeah, 3 rounds is 3 rounds, but he was ready to go. And what I'm trying to say is, when his body's ready to go, he's ready to go.
Yeah, he actually said, Jess, it was tougher getting back into the weight room after his time in Vegas than it was picking up where he left off. But there's just kind of a ho-humness about Brooks Koepka now. That he's a major winner. He goes out there, yeah, 65, no problem.
Yeah, this is the new way to prepare for a major championship. Go on vacation, don't play any golf, just kind of waltz in there, relax a little bit, and hey, yeah, shoot an opening round of 5 under, no problem, no problem. But yeah, certainly it's funny, you know, we had the chance to have a Skype interview with Brooks just right after his US Open win, and he said, oh, I'm focusing on getting ready for the British Open, and you're thinking, wow, maybe he's out there grinding, but must have been all in his mind, right? He's just visualizing what he needs to do, and certainly it's happening for him.
Michael, a couple names on that leaderboard are also on the list of best players never to win a major. We talk about Matt Kuchar. We talk about Paul Casey. Kuchar is at 5 under. Casey is 1 stroke back at 4 under par. Do you get the sense, any kind of feeling, being out there talking with these guys, that maybe this could be the breakthrough week for one of these guys?
Well, Kuchar especially, because it's really a thinking man's golf course. And I think he thinks his way around the golf course as well as anyone. There's something American about the course in that you sort of plot from point A to point B, but it requires a lot of different shots, requires low shots, which Kuchar does very well. I think that it would be a shame to see Matt Kuchar go through his whole career without winning a major, but I don't think it would break him if he didn't. He's had a wonderful career, but I think this is a great week and a great opportunity for him.
Jess, what about a guy like Jason Day? Hasn't played a ton of golf over the last few months. Comes out, shoots a 1 under par 69. He had missed the cut at the Travelers. We know the issues health-wise, personal-wise over the last year. Do you get any kind of sense, seeing what we saw from Jason today, under par at the Open Championship, that maybe this is a sign he may be coming out of that drought? It dates back now, the winless drought, to the Players' Championship of 2016.
Yeah, I certainly think anytime you can get around under par in a major championship is a really good day, especially for Jason Day, a player that is so high profile like him. We're not hearing his name when we're listing the favorites of a major championship. That just seems crazy. I mean, it was only, what, 6-8 months ago that Jason Day was the talk of everybody's pool for a major. So certainly is good to see. Obviously, he's had his struggles over the past 6 to 8 months, as we said. But I think this could be a really good sign for him coming out of it. Certainly, for him, it's gonna take putting well, I think, because we know his ball striking can be so great. It's just a matter of getting those putts to drop, and things could turn around for him.
Crazy to think he's dipped all the way to number 6 in the world now. That drought is
all the way.
Yeah, all the way down from the top to number 6. Hey, Michael, some interesting styles being sported on Thursday. We're talking about fashion, of course, in round 1 at Royal Birkdale. We saw the high tops. Jason Day had those with those slimming pants. We saw Justin Thomas wearing a tie, the old school cardigan. I got to ask you, you're a fashion aficionado, Michael Bamberger. What did you think of these outside-the-box styles in such a traditional tournament like the Open Championship?
Well, I think I detected some sarcasm there. I got my own personal sense of style in 1977. I haven't really let go, so I'm probably not the best person to ask these questions. But having said that, I think it's fun that they're trying. I like the guy in the tie. I think Justin looked good. The high tops don't do anything for me. The skinny pants don't do anything for me. But it really doesn't matter what they do for me because I'm an old man. It matters what it does for young people developing their own sense of style. And I think it's fun. And if you look at, it's beautiful that Royal Birkdale has the Open Championship, maybe once every 8 or 10 years. And you can see how much style changes in golf through time. I was looking at clips of Arnold when he won here in '61. And everyone, Dave Reese and the other people that Arnold's playing with, are playing these big billowy pants that are blowing in the wind. And Arnold's wearing trim, not as snug as we've seen here this week, pants. And he looks great. He looks like a breath of fresh air. And the spectators are all wearing top coats. Now they're wearing these sleek, sleeveless puff things. I don't think we call them puff things. But I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it's different. A better person to ask would be Jessica.
Yeah, I think the puff things Michael's talking about are the vests that we're seeing a lot of. Jess, what do you think of the style, especially the high tops? I'm not a big fan. I know it's the Nike way. They got the Air Jordan look to them, but Ricky's sporting them in the Puma version. What's your take on this?
I totally agree with you. I tend to be a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to golf apparel, so the high tops are not my favorite thing. However, for Ricky Fowler, it just works. He has that personality. He's got that youthful kind of motocross thing happening. So for him, I think it makes sense. Jason Day, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to fit with what we've seen of him on the golf course. Not gonna say it's not my favorite look. However, as Michael said, what does it matter, right? If they're out there and they're shooting rounds under par, then wear all the high tops that you want. And for the record, I have always been a fan of Michael Bamberger's style. So just want to put that out there.
Hold on to the 70s, Michael. We will take it as long as you will. Michael and Jess, thank you guys. Should be interesting to see the style tomorrow with the wind and rain on the way as well. Well, golfers got a taste of what Royal Birkdale had to offer on Thursday. And one guy who also knows plenty about Royal Birkdale is Rocco Mediate. He played the golf course's last British Open Championship he played in was back in 2008 at Royal Birkdale. Ironically enough, Rocco stopped by our studios this afternoon to talk about this year's Open Championships and the key to success over in England. All right, Rocco, the Open Championship at Birkdale got underway earlier today. You know the tournament, you know the major championship very well. You played in 6 British Opens. Your last, 2008, at Royal Birkdale, I believe.
I played a lot. I played like 12 Opens.
Yeah. What's the key to success when you talk about a historic course like Birkdale, which you've played both in an Open Championship and a Senior Open Championship?
Yeah, I played 3 Opens there, 3 different ones. Birkdale's a different one. It's more hilly. You go back in the sand dunes, and it's really cool. I mean, you can get lost. If you don't know where you're going, you may never be found, you know, especially when there's no tournament there. But it's just a great, you know, all links stuff is all about what the wind's up to. If the wind lays down, they'll tear it to shreds because there's no defense. But if the wind comes up 10, 15 miles an hour only, there's going to be issues at Birkdale, all the links courses. But Birkdale's just fantastic. There's nothing you could say that's wrong with that place, and the scores are decent this morning.
Yeah, the elements.
Not this morning. It's night.
Well, they got the rain. It looked like early, softened the course, then it got a little harder and drier late in the day. Right. What about style of play? Is there a certain style of play from someone on tour that fits well for this type of course? Control
of trajectory. If there's wind, if there's no wind, you can do whatever. You can play American golf, which is through the air. Over there, if it starts to blow and it gets firm, it's hard to play through there. The ball just won't stop, especially off the tee. So you have to drive things down and run things into places, and accept your 20 or 30 footer sometimes is a great shot.
What about links golf in general? Do you like it?
I love it.
I looked at some of your history there. I think T18 may have been
I never
your
did
best,
great, but I always loved playing over there. I was always, I think 18th was at Birkdale. In 08. I think it was 08. Had a couple of decent finishes over the years, but I made a lot of the cuts I went there, but never played good enough, actually putted good enough to do anything. And I've loved St. Andrews was phenomenal. I mean, they're all good. All of them are good. But you just have to, you know, you look at the champions that have won the Open, the Open we'll call it. Just look at them. Yeah. I don't know if that's anything else. They're amazing players. And sometimes you have first-timers, obviously. I mean, first-time winners of a major or something. But when Henrik won last year, that should have happened 10 years ago. That guy, H is so good. But it just depends on the weather they throw at you. You don't know what's going to happen. Like they say, pick a favorite. I don't know. If I knew the wind was going to blow 30 every day, then you have your list. If I knew the wind was going to blow 5, then you have your list. But otherwise, you don't. You can't tell. Who knows who's going to win? You see a guy like Spieth go out early today, shoot 65. That doesn't surprise you, his type of game? No. Jordan did done the old-fashioned way. You know, he doesn't hit far. Doesn't hit short, doesn't hit far. Right. Then you got Koepka shot the same score. He hits real far. Yeah. So this just goes to show you 2 completely different games. Overpowering and steady. Shot the same score. So we'll see if the weather comes. It's supposed to not be good all week, though. Yeah. They said a lot of wind. Always great catching up with Rocco. And speaking of tour pros stopping by, Golf Channel's Brandel Chamblee recently paid us a visit before his trip out to Royal Birkdale. Brandel hopped in the Golf.com simulator and gave our Sean Zock a few tips on how to play the link-style shots the pros will be playing this week over in England.
We're here in the British Open week. We're talking links golf. You've played your fair share. You spent summers over there in Scotland. You know what links golf requires, right? It's certain types of tee shots, certain types of approaches, just managing the golf course. And you're going to give me some tips on how players need to play this week.
That's right. I'll try. It's like if we were at Augusta, I'd be teaching you how to hit a draw around the corner at 2 or 13. But the great thing about the Open Championship, and this is why I think older players tend to win there, is that in all the crosswinds, you've got to be able to work the ball left to right, right to left, but you've got to be able to knock it down. You've got to be able to hit it up in the air. So you really are accountable for pretty much every shot in the game. So you got to have a knockdown shot. And to hit a knockdown shot, you've got to grip down on the club a little bit. Okay. Just a little bit, about 3/4.
So this is normal.
That's normal. We're going. So you're going to grip down, right there. That's
right
perfect.
Here.
Boom,
okay.
Boom. You nailed it, right? Okay. And then because you're going to try to hit it low, you want to move the ball back in your stance a little bit. That means further towards your right foot, right? And because you're moving it back in your stance, right? This is where it gets crazy. Yeah. You're hitting. You want to hit down on it. Yeah. Because you've moved it back, you're going to hit down on it. But because you're hitting down on it, the club's going to be going to the right now. Okay. So that means you got to move. You got to open your stance. Open a little bit. Right. There you go. Slightly. So if you move the ball back, you got to open your stance simultaneously. Okay. And now you're all good to go.
And you just put on a normal swing?
And now what you do, I mean, on these low shots is basically you're finishing to a point that's like, kind of like right here. You're going shoulder to shoulder on these low shots.
It's not a full swing.
It's not a full swing at all. And what's important is when you're hitting these low shots is that you don't have a lot of flip. You know, you're trying to think Jordan Spieth. You know how Jordan Spieth does this?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a huge key for hitting these sort of hold-off shots. Nick Faldo talks about it in our broadcasts all the time, how he's got these sort of, he'll have a wraparound finish, but he'll have these hold-off finishes. So that's it. So shoulder to shoulder, make the setups. You know, you move the ball back in the stance.
We're going to go a little bit down on the grip.
There you go.
A little bit back in the stance.
Right.
Open it up a little bit.
Now
and then you're
shoulder
thinking
to shoulder.
definitely not full back, just shoulder to shoulder.
Now, yeah, but when you go through, think about having that, you know, your left elbow is going to sort of move this way. You know, we call it chicken wing in golf.
All right, well, we'll give it to my best.
Let me see what you got. Let's see these knockdown 3-woods. That was low, okay?
That was really low.
That was barely got over the tape, but yes. Yes, now we're in the, you know, we're on the upslope of the bunker.
Not quite the launch angle you're looking for.
That's a pot bunker. Your caddy right now is going to tell you you're dead. But listen, that was low. That was the right idea. Give me one. I want to hit one.
All right, with the suit and everything.
Give me one. I'm going to hit a big high cut for you. I can do this. All right.
Still got it.
I'm not going to hit anything, am I? I think I can hit a big high cut, right? Here we go. So move it up in my stance, right? Now it's up there. Now, you know, I'm going to take the club back a little bit like that, all right? And here we go. I think I hold it. There's a reason Tom Watson was such a great open player. One, he was a great scrambler, smart guy, but he could hit all these beautiful shots, you know, all the left to right and the right to left. And that's what's key. You have to work the ball at an Open Championship. You know, Henrik Stenson was a great example of that last year. You know, he's the best ball striker on tour. Typically, those guys are going to do well in bad conditions, and he and Phil Mickelson.
In record-breaking fashion.
It was awesome to watch. Yeah,
it definitely was.
All right, welcome back to our special edition of Golf Live and our coverage of round one of the British Open. Ryan Asselta now joined by SI and Golf's Jeff Ritter. And Jeff, let's talk about some of the guys who struggled on day one at Royal Birkdale. And we've got to start with Rory McIlroy. What a roller coaster for Rory today. He goes 5 over par in his first 6 holes. He rallies for a 32 on the back 9. And he's 1 over par after day one.
Yeah, I don't know if you put him in the class of struggling today. I mean, it depends which side. Is the glass half full or half empty? It depends which half you want to look at. I don't know what to make of Rory at this point. You know, to me, he's looked like a guy who's coming back from injury and a little bit rusty. We just, ever since Aaron Hills, you know, he didn't play well there. Just has missed the cut at the Irish Open. Just hasn't looked like himself. To me, up until the back 9 today, he's looked like a guy who's either maybe still hurt or maybe just rusty and just still trying to find it. But that back 9 today gives you hope, and it makes you wonder what we're going to see next out of him. I think tomorrow, he's traditionally not the best bad weather golfer, so if he can string together a good round tomorrow, I mean, it's full speed ahead to the weekend.
Yeah, it seems like he had to have that back 9 today with the weather we're going to get tomorrow, and the conditions on the back 9 today got a bit placid. The sun came out. It was much warmer. The wind died down a little bit, so the run he made with the 32 puts him back in the mix. Dustin Johnson in the mix. He's also there at 1 over par 71, though kind of a uneventful day for the world's #1.
Yeah, this isn't the kind of golf course you're going to overpower. It's 7,100 yards. We know Mickelson, for example, is not even taking a driver, at least to this point. So for DJ to do well here, it's going to be the other aspects of his game that carry him. And much is made of his power, and that was the key to him winning the U.S. Open last year. It's been the key really to him driving forward to the #1 ranking in the world. But this week, it's going to be something else. And DJ he's multifaceted. He's a great iron player, and when he putts well, we know what he can do. But he's going to have to win this one another way. So I'm not surprised to see him where he is now. Still a lot of golf left, and weather can be a great equalizer tomorrow.
Yeah, you mentioned Phil. Tough day for Phil. 3 over par for him. That's a 73 on the day. Henrik Stenson, obviously they're linked together after last year's duel down the stretch. Stenson fires a 1 on par 69. And let's talk about Henrik. He's admitted to having trouble making the adjustments to being a major champion. The demands on his time, he's had a tough time with that. Hasn't really played good golf, though today he comes out, looks very comfortable out there. Do you think there's a sense of relief in handing that claret jug back over and kind of freeing himself up a little bit to go back to just playing golf?
I don't know. You know, when you win your first major, we see it all the time. We have all these first-time major winners that are breaking through now. It's a life-changing moment, and it affects everybody differently. And so for Henrik Stenson to do it at age 40, you know, it's a longer journey for him than, say, a Brooks Koepka, who just broke through and is suddenly right back in the mix here this week. I think that's the most surprising round of the day, actually, is Koepka. Stenson, you know, it was the culmination of his career, and he won the major he wanted the most. And so it's not surprising to me that it just be human nature, you know, to achieve one of your ultimate life goals and then maybe become just a little bit complacent with what you do going forward. So I think it's good for Stenson, like you said, to give the trophy back now and get back down to business. I think this is a great golf course for him. And obviously, if he can recapture something even close to the form he had last year, because other than Mickelson, he blew away the entire field. Yeah. He could absolutely be a factor again this weekend.
That complacency is very interesting because you look at some of the first-time winners over the last year or two. Jason Day, we've seen maybe a little bit of complacency from him as well. Is Sergio Garcia going through that right now, coming off of his Masters win?
I don't even know if complacency is the right word, but it's just your life changes, and everybody has to handle that differently. And so with all the new time commitments and pressures, the things that happen, it's very possible that practice time or your routine around your golf game changes with it. And so all guys handle that differently.
Well, we talked, of course, about the Stenson-Phil duel, which was highlighted the 2006 Open Championship last year. Well, that duel was epic. You want to remember that? Take a look at this. And that's Sunday 63 from Henrik.
Thanks to Mickelson's run at history in that opening round, you sort of felt like you were going to see something historic, something big was going to happen at Troon, because something big almost happened right out of the gates.
It was really easy to get caught up in what Phil was doing because it's Papa Golf in terms of American golf fans. We love Phil.
Stenson and Mickelson were so far separated from the rest of the field that they really were having their own event.
One thing that got lost as well within the scheme of the entire event was that 3 years ago when Phil Mickelson actually triumphed at the British Open, he triumphed over Henrik Stenson.
The 12th hole, Mickelson made this up and down for par. He pitched off the side of this sandy mound. It was an extremely tough shot. Got it to about 20 feet and then made the putt for par to stay tied. When he did that, I thought this was going to be Phil's tournament.
Didn't really reach a moment of magic until the 15th green. Stenson hits this putt from more than 50 feet away. He doesn't even think it's going in.
I'm not sure it broke 2 inches.
He starts walking after it, and he kind of puts his putter down.
But the ball just kept tracking at the hole. At some point, you're assuming, because the way Stenson's walking at it, the ball's going to fall off one direction or the other.
And all of a sudden, it drops. The crowd goes crazy. Everyone's shouting across Troon.
In the end, he ends up as the winner of one of the great final round duels in major championship history.
A great look back right there at last year's Open Championship. Let's look ahead now, Jeff, to round 2, which gets underway 1:35 a.m. Eastern time. I know you'll be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 1:35.
Sleep on the
Jeff.
couch, and then you can wake up earlier to watch it. That's the move.
There it is. Give me one thing to look for on Friday at the Open.
I'm excited to see gray, grizzly, grim Open weather. I mean, the course looks spectacular today on TV.
You're tough, man. You're
but
tough.
It's an Open. It's an Open. An Open has got it. The elements have to be a factor. We're going to get it tomorrow. I think this is going to reshuffle the field entirely. I also think one thing that might happen, it happens often in these Opens, when you get these storms that roll in and out, is one half of the draw catches a break. Mm-hmm. And even though it's supposed to rain all day and the gusts are expected to hit 40 miles an hour, it wouldn't surprise me at all if you get a couple hours where it just drops all of a sudden. And then the birdies roll in, and that one half the field, all of a sudden there's a 3, 4, even 5 shot difference between one side and the other. I don't know what side it's going to be, but I'm excited to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, we didn't see that today, that split that we're used to seeing with the weather. We should get it tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing if Ricky Fowler can play himself back into contention a bit. 1 over par, 71. Ricky seemed primed for this week. He had that 3rd place finish at the Quicken Loans, the 9th place finish at the Scottish Open. We're waiting for Ricky to put it together in one of these major championships. Mm-hmm. I kind of felt like this might be the week. He didn't play himself out of the tournament on Thursday, but certainly 6 strokes behind with weather coming in. there's a lot of work to be done. Do you think Ricky can put together maybe a 66, a 67 and play himself right there?
I think Ricky is a good bad weather player. So he hits the ball low. He's got a good track record at the British Open. I think all systems go for Ricky. I'm a little surprised to see him finish one over. I thought he'd start a little bit faster. I mean, obviously, U.S. Open, he was leading after round one. So we know he's close to winning one of these. I think he's in a good spot, though.
A lot of golf to be played. Jeff Fritter, thanks for being with us.
All right.
A lot to look forward to on Friday, round 2 at Royal Birkdale. We'll be back with you again tomorrow afternoon with a full recap of the second round of the Open Championship. That's coming your way at 3 p.m. Eastern. Until then, stick with Golf.com for all the latest news from the British Open. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern. Take care.